introduction, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present our study from our group working on the precision dairy farming technologies. And as we already heard in the previous talks, rumination is essential for the digestive physiology in ruminants. And at least we have the potential to use this parameter to detect animals suffering from metabolic diseases or to detect imbalances in the diet fat. And the rumination is predominantly influenced by the crude fiber content of the ration, and this is directly affected with the saliva production, which acts as a buffer and impacts the ruminal pH. And as a rule of thumb, we expect more than 80% that are lying down, more than 80% of cows that are lying down to ruminate, and we want lactating cows to show 50 to 60 chewing cycles per bolus, and in dry cows we expect 60 to 70 chewing cycles. And if the rumination activity is increased, this is indicated for a too high fiber intake, bearing the risk of an insufficient energy intake, and this might lead to an increased risk for sequelae, for instance, for ketosis. On the other hand, if the rumination activity is decreased, this is indicated for low fiber intake. And so these animals have an increased risk for suffering from ruminal acidosis. But there are also additional factors that influence the rumination, for instance, stress or the ruminal pH itself. But there are also physiological events as the estrus or the parturition known to decrease the rumination time during the occurrence of these events. And hence the question is if monitoring the rumination time has the potential to support herd health management decisions, and that is the reason why we conducted a study on evaluation, a commercial accelerometer system. It's a Smartbow system. It's a little bit different than we heard before, for detecting rumination in indoor house dairy cows. And the centerpiece of this system is this ear tag, as you can see here, shown here on the picture. This ear tag consists the accelerometer. And the commercial system is offered as 1 Hz technology with features for real-time localization of the cows within a barn, for heat detection, and for health monitoring. But in our study, we were interested in detecting individual jaw movements, and the duration of these jaw movements is less than 1 second, so we had to use 10 Hz ear tags to detect these single movements. So the acceleration data are captured by head and ear movements, by these ear tags, then they are sent in real time to indoor receivers, and by this, the data are sent to a farm server, and there the data are processed using algorithms that are based on artificial intelligence. And with this technology, we have the ability to use an individual cow as her own control. So this means we are able to detect small variations in the animal behaviors. And the generated results or the results of the algorithm then could be presented on different devices, for instance, on a PC or on a mobile phone or on a tablet PC. So the hypothesis of our study was that the Smartbow system is eligible for detecting the rumination time, the number of chewing cycles, and the number of rumination bouts. And for this, we compared the data generated by the Smartbow system with observed rumination data. So the study was conducted at our teaching and research farm at the university. We are keeping there approximately 80 Simmental dairy cows. Average milk production is approximately 9,500 kilograms, twice milking a day. And out of these herd, we collected 10 Simmental cows with an average parity of 2 and peak lactation. The animals were housed in a special pen that was equipped with an individual rapid intake control system, so we were able to detect the individual feed intake, and additionally, this pen was equipped with 5 digital video cameras, so we were able to monitor the cows 24 hours a day. The TMR was fed ad libitum twice a day. And besides this video observations, we did also direct animal observation, at least for a number of animals. Here you can see a colleague of mine, Vanessa Schweinzer, and she's actually counting the individual jaw movements of these animals. And by pushing a specific button on a tablet device, a unique timestamp for this event was generated. And we did this direct animal observations by 2 independent observers for 2 hours per animal, so in total we had 20 hours of direct animal observations. And to compare the systems, the time of the Smartbow system, the video systems, and the tablet devices had to be synchronized. And last but not least, we compared these direct animal observations with the results from the video recordings. In our study, we had 2 study periods with different TMR composition. They differed in the crude fiber content because we were interested on these effects. And we ended up with approximately 2,500 analyzable 1-hour video sequences. And out of these, we randomly selected 100 of these sequences. It is 10 hours per animal. And we classified those video sequences using a sophisticated video analysis software. And then we choose 50% or the data of the first 50 hours for the algorithm development and the algorithm refinement. This means these data were presented to the company. And in the second part of the study, we did the algorithm testing on the other half of the data. And for this, the information was blinded. So we asked the company to provide us the rumination time and the rumination data for a specific cow in a specific time frame. Coming to the results. So first of all, the agreement between the independent observers, we find a high correlation with a correlation coefficient greater than 0.99. And this was also the case between the agreement between the direct observations and the video recordings. And hence we can conclude that the data that are derived from the video analysis are valid for our evaluation purposes. Regarding the rumination time, here in this slide, you see the observed rumination time against the rumination time recorded by the Smartbow system, and except for one outlier, we found a nearly perfect agreement. So this means the average rumination time of approximately 1,500 seconds was underestimated by the Smartbow system by 16 seconds, which is 1.1%. And as I already told you, in the first part, in the development part of the study, the data were provided to the company, and in the second part, in the testing part, the data were blinded. it could have been that the data had been biased because the knowledge of illumination time, and that was the reason why we did the analysis for both parts of the study, and you see that there's no differences between those both parts. Coming to the chewing cycles, again, we found a very high agreement between the system. So on average, the chewing cycles, 1,665 per hour, was overestimated by the Smartbow system by 61, which equals approximately 4%. And again, we found no differences between both study parts. The rumination bouts, again, we found a high agreement. So on average, we counted 29 rumination bouts per hour, and they were underestimated by 0.4, which equals 1.4%, and again, no difference between both parts of the study. So to conclude, we found an excellent agreement between the Smartbow system and the visual observations for detecting the rumination time, the chewing cycles, and the rumination bouts. And from a practical point of view and from a clinical point of view, the differences between 1% to 4% are neglectable. And so in our study, we tested the technical feasibility of capturing the rumination data, and so it seems that this is a promising technology for supporting additional herd health management decisions, but for this we have to conduct further studies that we are currently doing on a larger setting to see what is the benefit of using these rumination parameters for daily herd health management. And with this slide, I would like to thank Stefan Reiter, who did this study as part of his diploma thesis. He was assisted by Vanessa Schweinzer. And last but not least, I would like to thank the Austrian Association for Buiatrics for funding the study. And I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.